Today we're talking about the best cinema zooms you can actually afford. Hey guys, it's Luke again, and welcome back to Les Delis. You see, here at Les Delis, as a production company, it's great to have our own equipment instead of having to rent things. But as a rental company, it's really great to get equipment that not everyone is using to try and turn them onto things. Now, in the world of all these Chinese cinema lenses out there, DZO has actually become one of the better brands out there, delivering high performance optics in really good, well-constructed cinema lenses for a pretty affordable price. They're still on the higher end of the Chinese market, but for good reason. Although we bought the lenses with the intention of renting them, we've actually ended up using them on almost every single one of our past projects. I was pleasantly surprised when I popped these onto quite a few different cameras that although it was a touch warm, it was a very beautiful look with a slight vintage vibe to it, while being detailed, not overly sharp, which is something I really don't like seeing in cinema lenses. And I notice a lot more of the Chinese ones focus on just being very sharp, and they almost have too much contrast on them. I'm not looking for a clean clinical lens, I'm looking for something that is detailed while still having a little bit of flair to it. What I'm looking for in a cinema zoom is prime quality across the range. And with these lenses, you actually get that. You could be wide open, go across the entire range, and you have no light loss, no vignetting, and no sharpness loss, as far as I could tell, while still being a beautiful parfocal lens. Originally, when I first got these, I was using them for that parfocal ability because, well, why would you not? That's the best part of a cinema zoom lens, is them being parfocal. So the first 2 to 3 videos I was doing, I was always zooming in and out while actually shooting and using that as a practical effect in my edit. But as time went on, I noticed the quality was so good across those zooms that I started using these on most of my jobs where I just didn't want to have to be swapping prime lenses all day and be able to just swap focal lengths really quickly off the barrel. That's a dream. That's something we love with mirrorless cameras and photo glass, is just being able to really easily change focal lengths. But on a cinema zoom, to have that kind of quality, usually they're really bulky. As a little test to see the quality of this lens, I set it up in the studio filming Nick. We used the Canon C70, and I started off with the 35 to 80 on the front of the camera, testing out all the different focal lengths to see the quality of it. And then I compared it to our other zoom lens that we use the most in the studio, the Canon EF 24-105 Mark II. The Canon 24-105 actually isn't fully parfocal. In fact, it uses the autofocus to compensate because at 35 to 50 millimeters, it's out of focus when focusing on the far end. So for the rest of this test, I wanted to show you what the Catta Ace looks like throughout the zoom range. We're going to be testing the 35 to 80, but it's pretty much the same across the board. So at 35 millimeters, 50 millimeters, and 80 millimeters. This is all wide open with no ND at ISO 1000 Canon Log 3. Now I also wanted to compare the Catta to my other favorite lens, the Canon FD. The FD also looks really good, but it's a little bit cooler than the Catta, whereas the L series looks pretty much the same, maybe a tad bit cooler than the Catta Ace, but very similar. Now comparing all 3 of the lenses at the same focal lengths. Something I definitely notice is the L series is a little bit softer at 35 millimeters. FD is an interesting lens because it doesn't claim to be an overly sharp lens at all. It is a little soft, but with really good character. Throughout all these focal ranges, I'm noticing that the Catta Ace character stays the same in terms of focus and detail across the whole range, while the FD and the L series happen to have a slightly different look at each of the focal lengths. The L series being extremely sharp at 80 millimeters.
Hey guys, it's Will, resident DP and First AC. And yeah, so Luke and I split these lenses not that long ago. This is one of the first things I did was take them out with my FX6 and shoot some test footage. One of the things that really inspired me while working with these lenses in that first test was how soft the image is while so detailed. It's not a clinical image, it's very painterly feeling. And I feel like that's something that you can usually only get from a vintage lens that costs a lot of money. So to be able to get it in this compact, affordable price range is really fantastic. It's a really warm look too that the lenses present overall. So when I took them out for this test at sunset, I was met with some of the most beautiful orange hues, and it color graded super well.
If you love the way all these examples look, you're gonna wanna check out Dehancer, which is the sponsor of today's video. Dehancer makes color grading easy. I'm pretty well versed in the color world, coloring professionally in Resolve for the last 7 years. And although I can get some great looks with time in my node tree, I can get them even faster by just popping a Dehancer OFX plugin on my footage. And if I want to get even more intense, I can use it in my traditional color space transform to get some amazing results that are truly refined. If you want to check out Dehancer and want a subscription, I can give you 10% off by using our discount code DELIGHT. With cinema lenses being such an investment, whether buying a set of primes or a set of zooms, you kind of wonder where to start. And arguably with this set, I think I would start with the zooms. So you could use the entire range as if it was a prime and work a little bit faster on set. Obviously, that is gonna be added weight versus a prime lens, but I think it'll just keep you working a little bit faster, which is one of the reasons I've been using it on almost every one of my commercial jobs in the past. Recently, we had done a job in Maine for some EMS training, and we did the C70 and the Alexa Mini just with zoom lenses for the entire shoot. No matter if it was talking head where we didn't change focal lengths, if we were zooming in and out, or if we were just doing insert shots. It's such a versatile cinema lens, I think it should be the first cinema lens you even get.
One of the things that's really beneficial about the size and build of this lens is that the gears are far enough apart from each other where you don't have to worry about your motors getting in the way of each other. So we had a focus motor and a zoom motor hooked up at the same time, and they were not even really near each other or getting in each other's way while also still being very compact. So that's something that if you're looking to set up 2 to 3 motors on a lens at a time, this lens has plenty of space to do that. Cinema zooms are known for being some of the most massive lenses that you can work with on a set. They're extremely heavy. You have to rebalance the entire tripod if you switch over to them, and a lot of the times mounting to them can be a nightmare. You might have to jump between rail sizes if you have that big of a lens, and moving them around can be a real pain. So to have 3 lenses all at the same size and weight, to be able to get that much focal length across 3 lenses that weigh no more than a paperweight or a brick or something is kind of fantastic. It really changes the game in terms of being able to move quickly on a set when you're working with cinema zooms. So from a first AC perspective, these lenses are super easy to work with and make life very comfortable. There are a lot of other cinema zooms out there that are similar in size to these ones, but they're Super 35, whereas these ones are full frame VistaVision lenses, which is really impressive that they can make that work for such a small, compact lens system.
Compared to other cinema zooms that I've seen, these are the only ones you can actually have wide open and still have a sharp image. Other cinema zoom lenses out there, you can't actually go wide open without the image becoming a little bit unusable, in my opinion, just too soft. And that's on Super 35 cameras. You know, I'm looking at the Laowa Ranger specifically. You know, Laowa proved me wrong, send me a lens. So I wanted to see how big of a sensor this can cover, so I just decided to take the 35 to 80 and stick it on my GFX 100 Mark II and do a couple of shots of my daughter at the dinner table to see how it covered. And honestly, it covers the entire sensor, no problem, which was a big surprise for me, and amazing to have a zoom lens that can be used with that camera.
Guys, thanks for watching another video, and remember, everything that you see in these videos is available for rent, so please feel free to hit us up and become a part of the Ladley's family. Wee wee.
And guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps us out, and check out some of our previous videos that I'm sure you would enjoy. Au revoir.